Welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we are back live after a 2-week break, ready for iRacing with the Pagnian Imports Formula V Championship. Tonight is the opening round and we are at Brands Hatch Circuit GP in the Formula Vs. Tonight's session at Brands Hatch, we've got 10 minutes of practice, weather will be clear, then we've got 10 minutes of qualifying and then a 40-minute race, and the cars are capped at 47% fuel, so they're going to need to stop to be able to bring the car home. It is standing starts and the restarts are single file with lap cars to the back. We finished up the Pagnian Imports GT3 Championship before, and we had Blake Urquhart take the championship win. And that was with the final round being at Circuit of the Americas, when we saw Cameron Veacock finish up with a clean sweep with that pole position victory and the fastest lap. And then for this series, our drivers are competing for a $50 Pagnian voucher, courtesy of our sponsors, Pagnian Advanced Simulation. So a fantastic prize for them to be able to get some next level racing gear from Pagnian. And for all our viewers and members, there is a discount you can use while shopping at their store. So if you head on to the link down the bottom and use the code NLR-APEX-5, you will get 5% off your order. So we'll load up the track. So we've got a few drivers out there already. Over to Brands Hatch in the United Kingdom. Track length is 3.89 kilometers long, and it's going to be a lot of fun seeing these guys get these Vs around. So we'll jump on and get some details up on the screen. And if you're joining us for the stream, do jump in the chat, say hello. Now, Diggs joining us on the stream, thanks for jumping on. If you haven't done so, do hit that follow button. So we will be live over the next 5 weeks with the Formula V Championship on Monday nights at 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. And there's even some more racing action on Thursday nights with Project Cars too. So we run that on the PlayStation. And then we'll be doing the BMW M1 Pro Cars. So some great racing coming up over these next 5 weeks. And we've got 12 drivers loading into the session at the moment. We'll make our way and get to know all our drivers' cars. I'm going to feel it buckling. And it's going to be interesting. We have run the Formula Vs before, but there is a brand new damage model that's now being applied to the cars. So if we see the drivers interlock those wheels, we're going to essentially be seeing these cars stripped to pieces. We could potentially be able to limp the car home. Any incidents could potentially lead to a tow. So hopefully not too much carnage for the drivers tonight. And we've got Adam Jarecki, Gary Buckland. There's just 2 minutes left of open practice, and then the drivers will have 10 minutes to qualify, and there's points on the line for qualifying position. So they can take that pole, will score themselves 25 points and be on their way to being able to take that $50 Pagnian voucher. We do have a whole bunch of sound effects that you can actually play over the stream. So there should be some controls down underneath. So that way you can play a variety of sound effects, cheers, boos, and have some fun with the stream. And we've got Peter Sharp debuting with us tonight. So welcome aboard, Peter, and best of luck. Looks like he's branding some Holden Racing Team livery on the side of the car. Stephen Banks in the pits at the moment. And we got Daniel Gomes. That was Lucas Burt over to Nathan Peters. So we've only got 5 drivers that have got a time on the board by the looks of it. Not sure if they're struggling with some track limits for the car and then invalidating that lap time or not. again, we'll see if he gets... He already has got a time. Not an improvement there. That was a 1:46.242. Damon Cross has currently got the second quickest time in practice. And then we do have Cameron Veacock. And then another driver just leading in as well, Luke Holland. So that's practice now complete. Drivers not even getting enough time to be able to wrap up one extra lap. So I'll be scrambling out on the track now with only 10 minutes to get a lap in. And we're seeing about 1:44s being set in the practice session. Veacock did have the quickest time in practice, a 1:44. Some of the drivers were doing some practice before the session tonight. Maybe jump in, have a look, and then it looked like they were getting about 1:45s, very low, almost flat. So we should be seeing some 1:44s being done. A little bit of chaos going. Looks like Daniel Gomes. Can't figure the other car that was potentially mixed up there. Then we have Luke Holland now loading in the session, so that's 13 drivers. That's Lucas Burt and Nathan Peters side by side along the straight. We will jump on board for a lap with one of the drivers, so we can get taken around for a hot lap at Brands Hatch. Like an intermittent little spike. I'm not sure if that's on my side or may have been a little bit of netcode we were seeing. The drivers should now be on their first time laps. A couple of minutes into the qualifying. There's a bit of residual smoke. Someone's gone off. That may have been Gomes. Previous lap, first time out. We saw him spun off there, and it looked like the same other car. Burt's car, it is Lucas Burt. See if we can get some closer shots. So he's running the Castrol livery. No drivers yet getting a time for qualifying. That's one of the KFC cars. Is that Banks that's gone for a spin? Big lock. Oh, sliding that rear wheel out. There we go, first time's coming through now. That was Veacock, that was just on the outside. And you can see he's just broken that wheel. Gets in a very decent first lap. It was a 1:45.641. Russell Gander just sets a 147.5. And Damien Cross just going for a spin. There's going to be another couple of laps out there. But having a few dramas with the car. And also with the Vs, with that new damage model, the cars are very sensitive to being over revved. So those downshifts do have to be careful. And not to be revving it out too much because you can actually destroy that engine. Looks like Blake's running his old MSR livery on that car. He has been out in the KFC car. He obviously hasn't changed over for this round. We have Adam Jarecki with pole position at 144.982. Blake Urquhart holding second. Karen Veacock in third. He's only 4 tenths away from Urquhart's time. Russell Gander qualified in fourth of 147. And Banks just makes his way up through, sitting in almost 147 flat. See if we can find a driver that's close to wrapping up a lap. Looks like Jarecki won't be too far. Hopefully we don't jinx him. We'll try and jump on board for a lap around. Sounds like a car going off in the back section of the track. Damon Cross getting back out on the track now. With only 3.5 minutes left. It's not leaving much to get a time in. It's going to be one hot lap that he's going to get in, maybe two if he's lucky, just depending on how long that session holds out. On board the gyro, bring up some lap data. It's on board the Formula V for Adam Jarecki. And Paddock Hill, very tricky corner. It's fast, so you need to be able to carry as much pace, but that crest can really throw that car over. And under heavy braking down into the hairpin. Turn 3, a bit of fight with the steering. These cars love to slide. Rear grip is a battle on the Formula V. Uses Blake for a little bit of extra speed going up the hill and back straight, flat stick. Topped out in fourth gear, 153. Get foot all the way down through the corner. Back off a tad. And take lots of curb. And take as much inside curb here as possible. These cars do like to be bounced once you hit it though. And Blake, yeah, you got the MSR paint. Blake Urquhart jumping in the stream, noticing he's got the wrong paint on. Final corner, carry as much speed through for the main straight and to be able to carry as much pace down into that first turn. So that lap was a 1:45.032 that we're on board for with Jarecki. And just as he crossed the line, we had Veacock take pole position, setting a 1:44.948. It's only about 0.04, just under, between himself and Jarecki now. There's 40 seconds left. So maybe be enough time to be able to wrap this lap up, maybe sneak one in. That's not going to be doing well for Banks. Buckland crosses the line, there's 10 seconds left. It's going to give him opportunity for another lap potentially. And a puff of smoke as he downshifts. So movement in those standings for qualifying. Cut up in third. Damien Cross qualifying fourth. It probably hasn't invalidated his lap. He may be lucky. Down you go, side by side, it just tucks in. I think that's Luke Holland's car alongside. Very colourful car. Soften his paint over. So we should be able to see his car change back over to his KFC colours now. This will be Philip Buckland's last lap. So it's some movement. He goes up a couple of positions. He goes from 13th up into 11th with a 1:48.209. Just missed opportunity to be able to bring up the correct results. Yeah, it has mucked it all up, so just missed it. The session ended just a little earlier than anticipated. We did have Cameron Veacock end up taking the pole position, so we won't go through that because it is quite a muddle on the standings there. So driver's got a minute 20 just to get the car over to the grid. While they're getting ready, we'll see if we can get some nice shots. Be able to start us off. Thanks, Blake. It should show up nicely now. Yeah, all drivers now readied up. So about to see the lights go green for the opening round.
Green flag, green flag.
So that's actually being Blake Urquhart. They'd actually take the pole. No, it didn't actually refresh here, even though my trading paints has actually refreshed. I'll bring some info up on the screen to see what we're watching here. Urquhart making a good getaway. Looks like a pretty decent first few corners. Oh, there's some chaos going off down the back. I don't think they've taken too much damage. Urquhart now feeling some pressure from Vcock. Drecke still holding on to the two as well. That's Banks off a couple of seconds behind these three. Vcock putting some big pressure on Urquhart. Drecke quickly closing in on these two now. He's enjoying a good slipstream. Oh, and Vcock goes for a move down pit straight. Looks like Drecke's going to go for a move as well. He's going to have to finish it up through turn one. I think he's too far back. Vcock slings around. He's going to have to hold it very tight. They are very close through the hairpin. Any contact there would have ended it for the three of them. All these three are closely battling it out. Banks is probably hoping for a little touch just to slow them up. See how close these guys are getting. That nose. That's pretty much should have probably been some contact with how close that was. He's doing the nose. It goes through the back graphics of the car. At that point it should have been a touch, so there was obviously a little bit of lag variance between the two. And then for the better. But usually it's not the case. Gomes having to tow the car. So it looks like he did make some contact with Philip Buckland. These three staggered out all the way through that corner. I didn't know if that was a lock or if that was just the downshift. I was spewing out some smoke. Vcock caves into a bit of pressure. He's dropped back down into third position. And the lap times that we're seeing from these race leaders, just a lap around 145s, 145.8, 145.9, and that's for Urquhart and Drecke. Vcock also 145.8. He's very fiercely fighting it out there, keen to start that lead to potentially get that Pagnian $50 voucher. Games now back out. It doesn't appear that he actually towed. It was only a 61-second stop. So he's been in. And the drivers do have fast repairs, so I'm not sure why a 61-second stop. It wouldn't be able to take much fuel on at that stage in the race. Games just up ahead of our race leaders. So that's lap 2 done and dusted. Now to lap 3. Hanging off the back. Urquhart's car. And he left that inside open. He managed to get away. And Jackie and Veacock cop a face full of smoke in tow of Urquhart's car. We got some close-knit battles going on between Gary and Philip Buckland. Peter Sharp and Lucas Burt's in the mix as well. Therefore, make a little shuffle. Oh, that's a lot of speed. Almost looked like that was going to oversteer through the corner. Burt not holding back. He's trying to hold these three at bay. Oh, and Sharp's going for an outside move. He's got him. That's not really cool. That must be Gary Buckland side by side with Lucas Burt. Actually, our race leaders has been a lead change. Trekkie got the jump, and then Veacock going to take on Urquhart as well. I don't think he carried enough speed to be able to sling around fast before turn one. A fair few battles going on. Tracking the Banks is sitting comfortably in fourth position at this stage. He's 4.2 seconds away, so he's not out of the game for a podium shot, and he's out of the mess of having to contend with swapping and changing like these three are doing. They have not given each other a break at all over the course of those 4 laps. Veacock's led for the first 2, and we've had Urquhart and Dreckie both lead for a lap as well. Well, I think it's been touch with Lucas, but we may have taken some serious damage. We'll go back and just check that out and see what's going on. I think that's Peter Sharp just ahead of him. Yeah, so it looks like Burt's now towing the car back. Oh, he's just locked up. Oh, and then rolled out and across. Not sure whose car that is. It might be Buckland. Yeah, then he has to tow. I think Buckland manages to get through, but it may require a stop into the pits this lap for him. And Burt's towing that car. It'll be interesting to see if Philip Buckland ends up pitting. Whilst that was unfolding, we had Blake Urquhart take the lead back. These three doing plenty of swapping and changing. I think we're going to be in for a pretty good show. These are going to be able to try and keep this up for 40 minutes. Dreckie sneaks ahead. He's going to get him. Oh, he just scrapes in. Urquhart's hot on that tail. Barely leaving any room for error, sticking right in that toe. Trying to take advantage of as much pace as he can. But Dreckie really pulled away. Really notice markings on those tyres. They have done quite a number of changes to this car. It looks fantastic. Here we go. And there's a move for Urquhart. He's going to have to commit to a lot of pace come down the turn one. It could be risky. He did have to back off a fair bit, so that's allowed Drecky to be able to come back for another shot. At least he's starting to leave Veacock behind. He's now dropped back by about 1.7 seconds. We have Banks dropping back a little bit more. He did have about 7-second gap, but that's actually just increased. He's now only got 6.3, so he's closing in on them. So just past a quarter of the way through. So it's like we could start to see some drivers in the next 5 laps start to pit in. Holland coming in for some fuel. Buckland did come in and use a fast repair. A very quick stop, so he didn't appear to have taken on much fuel at all. But back out on the track after the tow. Buckland moves up a position as Luke Holland was coming out of the pits. There's a 50.8 second stop for Holland, who's really taken on fuel and tyres. Johnny, so stream, don't be shy. Jump in the chat, say hello. Let us know who you think's going to take the win. Well, our race leaders be able to keep up this pace and be able to take the win and start setting that gap on their way to take claim of the $50 Pagnian gift voucher. Them scoring $50 to spend at Pagnian, plus being able to use the discount code. It would be quite a handy thing to be able to go towards a little upgrade for their rig. Looks like we have Gary Buckland closing the gap on Peter Sharp. He was 6/10 quicker the previous lap, and it looks like he's gained a huge amount of ground over the course of this lap. These two still battling it out. Urquhart and Jarecki. Veacock's closing back in again. He may have well been just tucking back, conserving a little bit of fuel and those tyres. Otherwise these two could potentially be burning through a fair bit and starting to scrub those tyres out a little bit more. Yeah, Veacock's really honing in now. He may have been sitting back for a bit. Veacock coming into the pits now. There we got Burghardt and Jarecki side by side again. Lead change. Veacock's going to have a super quick stop here. Banks moves up into third position. Cross also moving up, as does Gander. Veacock back out onto the track. So it was a 12.5 second stop he had. Oh no, a mistake by Jarecki. It's cost him the lead. Plus some wall contact. He kept the car under control. It started to look a little sketchy. That could have potentially dove out and across. He managed to keep it safe. He did have a fair bit of scraping going on against that Armco. And it's like he actually hit the wall pretty solid between the two wheels. So didn't put too much pressure on one wheel alone. Otherwise that could have been the end of his race for him. Could have ended up being a tow situation. Banks still sitting around the 7-second gap. So we're approaching the halfway point. We'll start seeing some drivers head into the pits around this time. It's likely you can usually get about 30 minutes of fuel. So some drivers may push the car out, but if they're starting to scrub those tyres out, and as that car gets lighter, it's going to be very flighty out on that track. So it's possibly better to bring that car in, keep a little bit of weight on it, just to be able to plant that rear down and apply a tad more grip. So we'll make our way through now. So we've got Lucas Burt in 13th. Oh, has this been contact between Gomes? And I think that was Damien Cross's car. Go back and just have a look and see what's going on. Big slide ahead. Oh, that's quite lucky they didn't actually interlock there. He's having trouble trying to find that gear. So both of them escaping some potential heavy damage. We have Daniel Games in 12th. Philip Buckland in 11th. Just up ahead is Luke Holland in P10. Gary Buckland is in 9th. Stephen Banks now going into the pits. We've got Peter Sharp in 8th. Nathan Peters in 7th. Stephen Banks in 6th. He's just exited from a 16.9 second pit stop. That positions him 10 seconds away from the car ahead. He was the first of the front running cars to have pit. That is Cameron Veacock, currently in P5. Fourth we have Damien Cross. He's sitting hot tight on the tail of Russell Gander, currently in third position. And these two are needing to pit. So technically at this stage, Vcock not racing for position, as these two will head in, and he'll get that position away. Gander left an opening there, he dropped off a fair bit of pace coming through that corner. Vcock takes the opportunity to sneak through as well, so now sees Gander in P5. Vcock P4. Damien Cross in P3. And Vcock's going to make a move here. No, not enough speed. He's going to have to try and switch across at the exit. And he's going to commit to hairpin pass here. Brilliantly executed. Vcock moves up into P2. Burkhart had pit, so he's now down into fifth. It was a 17.5 second stop. So that's 5.2 seconds longer than Vcock's time. That could potentially cost him a position. So it's going to be interesting. He may even have an off too, because he's actually dropped back a fair bit. Burkhart's 33.9 seconds. In comes Drecky now. It's our race leader pitting in. Vcock is 29.4 seconds away. Can he be able to close in time? Drecky needs no hiccups during the stop. In goes Cross. Oh, Drecky's not released. That's 18.9 seconds currently. I think they may be changing tyres. That's quite a long stop for Jarecki. It's cost him the race lead. There must have been some confused gappings there. Urquhart's 4.7 seconds away from Vcock. It's the extra 5 seconds in the pit box. End up costing him the race lead. That's a 56.6 second stop for Jarecki. That was quite a lengthy time, so he's obviously taken on a full tank and swapped out a set of rubber as well. Splash and dash could have potentially got him back out into the race lead. See him drop down in the 7th position, and there's only one driver in the 6 cars ahead who has not pit, and that's Nathan Peters. Oh, and he's just gone for a spin. Managed to avoid any potential damage from the spin. Lucas Burt gets around quickly. He is a lap down, so he doesn't make a movement there. Alan Gomes did end up retiring out. I think he brought the car back into the pits after that spin and making the touch with, what is that, Damien Cross. Burkhart's going to have to do some pretty consistent laps here to try and close that gap in. It's being 5 seconds away. He's got no slipstream. So you're going to have to solely rely on getting in much quicker laps than Vcock to close that gap. And he's starting to drop back. It's about 3 tenths different on the last lap. So Vicock could be pulling away. And Nathan Peters coming down to the pit lane now. Even if that spin, that car may have been feeling a little bit light. I think he took a tad bit of curb and it just flicked that car around. He was lucky he didn't make any wall contact. So that means all our drivers are pit. Except for Lucas Burt, though he has been in for a tow, but he doesn't appear to have come in to grab any fuel. May have had a quick splash, but he did come into the pits rather early. We'll scan and just have a look and see if... Bird had been in for a lengthier stop, maybe taken the fuel at that stage, but I don't think it's going to get him through it all. He's currently in 12th position. Eckhart slowly falling back, so he's now 2 tenths further behind Vicock. So unless there's a mistake made by Vicock, it's probably going to be hard to try and catch that gap back up. Banks now looking pretty good for a podium. He tucked back sitting in 4th position for majority of the race. And with Jarecki's lengthy pit stop, that's allowed him to recover a position up. And Cross, even despite being in the little bingle with Gomes earlier, still holding off in 4th position. Gomes was a lap car as well. Russell Gander doing well in 5th. He's got Jarecki honing down on him though. It's up on the roll bar with Adam Jarecki. His previous lap, a 1:45.1. Gander did a 1:46. Carried a huge amount of pace. Passes Gander, no problems. Moves his way back up towards the top, taking 5th position. We'll check out our debut driver for tonight, Peter Sharp. He's sitting pretty comfortably in 7th position. Well, he's just having a few shifting issues. Sharp has a fair distance between himself and Gander, but he's about a second a lap quicker at this stage. He's only about 24 seconds away. If he can keep that pace consistent, he could potentially start to close in. Looks like Gander may be dropping off a little bit of pace. Not sure if the tyres may be scrubbing, but he's still holding his own. He hasn't let Jarecki pull away too quick. If he can sit there in his toe, he could potentially fly along for a little bit and try and close in on Cross up ahead. He's only about 8 seconds away. If we didn't have Bert head in and take any fuel, he's going to have to do so within these next couple of laps. I wouldn't imagine he'd be able to go too much further. Gander still holding that gap between himself and Drecky. If anything, he's closed it in coming down into turn 2. In position 2, Blake Urquhart has been closing that gap in over those last 2 laps. He was starting to fall back around the 5.1 to 5.5 seconds. He's now closed it down to 4.5. Century Motorsports not out there. Steve wouldn't share his sim. I was going to say, is that you, Robbie, is it? So there's just under 7.5 minutes remaining. There's only about 5 or 6 laps left in the race. Got Cameron Veacock leading the charge. Lap 18 is led for 8. He did tuck behind Urquhart and Jarecki for majority of the start to the race. And he got the pass by pitting much quicker than Blake Urquhart. All he's got to do is be able to keep that pace consistent now. So we're starting to see Urquhart close in very quickly. That gap is closing. Last lap, 2 tenths quicker. Oh no, he's messed it up there. That's going to cost him a huge amount of pace here. All that hard work trying to close in on Veacock. That's opened a big opportunity for Banks now. There's only 1.3 seconds on his tail. All it takes is a small loss of concentration. Big opportunity for Banks to try and move up into position 2. We did see Urquhart battling quite intensively for probably a good 9 laps at the start, to the point that we even saw Veacock start to pull back as it was a freeway battle, so those tyres could start to be getting on the worn end now. But Banks was casually driving for quite a while, so he could have an advantage to try and get him. Cross very wide, using all that exit curb. Probably see that gap starting to dwindle with Jarecki starting to hone him in. He's about 7 tenths quicker a lap. So you'll be seeing that relative gap closing very quickly. Gander not falling too far behind Drecky, but Drecky definitely pulling away now. Looked like he went a little wide and backed off the throttle. He had to try and pull that car back in, otherwise he could have potentially understeered out. That front rotor got quite red as he was going around. And Drecky took a much longer pit stop, so he was in there for 56 seconds compared to, on average, being about 12 to 15 seconds for a stop. So he took on a full load of fuel plus a set of tyres. So even that may have cost him an extra 30 seconds in the pits. That could come in handy at this point in time. This rate with a 12.5-second lead. And Veacock appearing to have conserved early on in the race. I think he's going to be set for a win. Just under 3 minutes to go. So that's 2 laps left in it. Philip Buckland in the pits. Lucas Burt coming in. Geez, he really dragged that car out. So he must have taken a quick splash when he went for that early tow in those opening laps. And then Buckland making a second stop. I think he did pit in early to use a fast repair. So it's quite interesting that they can drag out nearly 38 minutes worth of fuel. We usually see about 30 minutes before the cars start getting rather light. So in the right conditions, they could potentially drag that car out and possibly get a full race out of it. So when we see some drivers try and work their magic that way. So if they can potentially save 40 to 50 seconds from a journey down pit lane, I could definitely see them standing at the top of the podium. So look, currently we've got Russell Gander in 6th position, and he's 49.9 seconds away from race lead. So the right strategy could potentially see a huge difference for a driver to be able to make up a heap of ground over the course of the race. I think that's Luke Holland being shown blue flag. Veacock tucks in just slightly to try and use that slipstream. He wants to be cautious of the back markers. He doesn't want to be held up in a bingle. He's got ample space so he can take his time to get around. So this will be final lap now. We're still showing green flag with only 30 seconds on the clock. It's 1:45 to get around. Once that timer reaches the 0, white flag will be shown. Banks unable to close in on Urquhart. His quick recovery from that spin managed to be able to keep him at least a position ahead of Banks. There we go, white flag shown. Final lap, Veacock's leading the way. It's lap 22, he's led for 12. And it's actually showing that Veacock has pit twice as well. It's quite interesting if that is correct data that's come through. Final corner. Peacock about to take the checkered flag home. Starting his journey towards that $50 Pagnian voucher. Takes the win for the opening round. Congratulations to Cameron Veacock. A fantastic drive. Blake Urquhart on the podium in position 2, as is Stephen Banks in position 3. The podium finishes for round 1. Damien Cross having a fantastic race. Even getting caught up with a spun lap car. There's across the line in 4th position. Still a good start to the championship. Drecki drops down into 5th position after a fantastic start to the race. That pit stop ended up costing him dearly. That's still a good outcome, taking 5th. Russell Gander in 6th. And a good debut race for Peter Sharp. And the drivers probably testing out that new damage model on the cars. My incident tracker is going haywire as all the drivers are really destroying their cars after the finish line. Gary Buckland crosses in 8th. Nathan Peters brings it home in 9th. It's Philip Buckland. Now the hits Karen Veacock. I want to see if we can get a different shot. Both parking up, just smoking those cars. Oh, and we just hear the engine blow. Urquhart's just completely destroyed what's left of that car. Yeah, so they're having a lot of fun at finishing up. So we'll bring up these standings now while these guys take out what's left of their cars. And after 23 laps around Brands Hatch, we have Cameron Veacock take victory. And then on the podium in 2nd is Blake Urquhart, and then Stephen Banks in 3rd. And then the rest of the standings is Damien Cross, Adam Jarecki, Russell Gander, Peter Sharp, Gary Buckland, Nathan Peters, Philip Buckland, Luke Holland, Lucas Burt, and Daniel Gomes. So we'll see if our podium finishes. Oh, I can hear, just heard another engine blow up. We'll see if our podium drivers are in our chat to be able to have the interview, if they're too busy still destroying cars. Urquhart should be fine, he hasn't got an engine left, so congratulations guys.
You JT.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, mate.
So it's good run around there with some pretty tight battles at the start. If that was you, Urk and was it Jarecki, pretty much swapping position nearly every lap for the first 9.
Yeah, that's it. I guess with the cars being so closely matched and the setups aren't really made for them, so everyone's running baseline or a modified version. It all comes down to really driver today.
Yeah, no, it was good seeing it, and there was some real close drafting going on as well. Even, I think there was a bit of netcode that went on that was actually in favour. At one point, right on the tail, pretty much swung out, had that nose right in the engine of Jarecki, so it was pretty interesting when we were sitting on the nose and going for the pass. So, have we got Irk? Has he not got his mic on?
Yeah, I'm here.
You are there?
There we go.
Yeah, I'm here. No, it was a good race. I was quite happy to sit on pole. I felt alright around here. I kind of fucked up in pit lane. I missed my bay, so that cost me about probably 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever.
That's what went on.
I think we all missed our day.
I missed it completely. I missed past my man too.
I went past my man and had to reverse up.
Yeah. And then I was pushing. I was catching slowly. I probably it would have been close, but I don't reckon I would have got him. Cam was he drove pretty well tonight, and I spun out with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, it was lucky
last
that
corner.
quick recovery too, because he only just snuck out 2 seconds ahead of Banks.
Yeah, only just, mate. But yeah, it was still a good race, and between Adam, I think it was, and Cam, awesome battle at the start. That was awesome. Having these cars 3 wide, and swapping positions every lap. No, it was great. So, yeah, and Banksy too, the P3 result as well. So, good team results. So.
As I say, it looked like you were having a good Sunday drive for a while, Stephen, sitting there comfortably in
Felt like
4th
it.
position for about
Mate,
12 laps.
It felt like a Sunday drive the whole race, to be honest.
Literally,
The
he
start
even
was a bit
said that.
interesting, but then I think I was about 1.8 going down that first stretch, and they were in a pretty good tow with each other, and because they were so tight, and with the tow they just pulled away, and yeah, I kind of had no chance to stay with them. And then I noticed the guys behind me had a few bust-ups, so I had no one behind me either, so yeah, I just put the arm out the window, lit a cigarette,
Yeah.
and got my Tim Beam and had a nice Sunday drive.
Yeah, it paid off for sure though, just having that nice sort of concentration, nothing ahead, nothing behind, and then just honed the guys in the end. And
Yeah, it was pretty cruisy. I'm not sure what happened to Adam. That's a shame for him. He obviously had really good pace and he got the fastest lap, so well done.
yeah, it was a
Adam.
56-second pit stop, so
He got to stop and hold. So
That hurts.
I was talking to Luke, and his pit entry.
okay.
He crossed the line. So
Yeah. Some
come
of them,
too
if you
far from
cross the
outside.
line, yeah.
yeah,
It
that's
gave me
This
costly.
track really this track is the worst to get it. It's the only probably track on here what actually does it.
It's not too
No.
many. Probably only 2 others or something.
Like literally Nürburgring is literally like the same entry in, and that doesn't give you black flag, but this one does. I don't know why. Nothing different about it, but yeah, you get it here. You got to be really careful. Even if your wheel's just halfway on it, you'll still cop it.
Yeah, quite strict.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, otherwise you would have definitely been up there still battling you to the end, I think. So, what happened with the spin? Was the tyres starting to burn out? Because you and
He was
Dreki
just
were
talking.
battling for a while.
I was pushing too much. Just,
He's just talking too much.
as always. And a beer in my hand.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to balance
that.
the stubby as you.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Especially for Formula V around this track. It's only a minute and a half, bit over. So you might as well take your time and cruise like Banksy does. But no, it's just, I think I was just pushing too much. I was just trying to. I was about at 2 temps quick every lap, and I've just spun it. I think I put it to third. I thought I'd try third. I never tried third, but I did, and it just slipped out. And yeah, I'm lucky. I just didn't hit a fence anything, and I had enough time to get back up and going. And Banksy was right back on me again. So
Yeah. And it looked like you backed off a bit too, Cam, in the end. After you were battling out with Urquhart and Jarecki, just sort of sat back for a little bit and watched them go for it, and then
that was pretty much
charged
it.
on later.
That was it. Once I was watching them battle, I had a bit of a whoopsie coming onto the middle straight, and I was sitting behind them. They were working together to get away from me, and then I caught them back up. And as soon as I hit that critical pit lap, I dove in just to give myself enough fuel and hopefully some clean air. And then, yeah, I think they just all unfolded after that. Towards the end of the race, Luke actually had fuel issues, so I was trying to drag him around for the last 2 laps, or whatever it was, to get him across the line, and we got him there eventually.
Yeah, a few drivers actually dragged the car out to the last 2 minutes before grabbing fuel. So it's quite interesting that you can almost get the full 40-minute stint under the right conditions. So
I think with a lot of the calculators too, depending on what fuel calculator you use or what numbers you use, can also throw a massive spanner in the works.
yeah,
Because some of them give all different reading. That is where your time is in pit lane.
yeah, but it was exciting stuff, seeing as for the V's for the opening round. So congratulations on a fantastic result.
Thanks, boys. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks JT and congrats Cam. Well done tonight, mate. And Blake.
cheers, mate. And
Thanks,
JT
Banksy.
too, mate.
Thanks,
Yep,
boys.
no worries.
Thanks, JT.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bud.
And there we have our podium finishes with Cameron Veacock taking the win for the opening round, so well on his way to securing that $50 Pagnian voucher. And then we'll be all set to be able to charge into round 2. So we'll load that up now. So we do head off to Lime Rock Park GP for round 2. So it's going to be some very tight battling in the Formula Vs. It is a very tight, shorter track, so it's going to be a great one to watch with just how these guys were doing it around Brands Hatch. So do hit that follow button if you haven't done so already, so we'll be back live again next week on Monday at 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and then we also have the opening round on Project Cars this Thursday night at the same time, so plenty of racing action to come ahead. So thanks for tuning in and hope to see you trackside next time.